Okay guys, welcome back to TRW Pizza, where it's January 2022. I'm in a beautifully crisp morning here in Northumberland. I can hear the birds singing, there's crows overhead, there's pheasants whipping around, and the odd gunshot going off from people out hunting those pheasants. Wonderful surroundings, and I want to talk a bit about pizza, obviously, because that's what I love doing. Now, what I want to talk about specifically is all those people, those thousands of people clearly who have got pizza ovens for Christmas, been gifted them from their loved ones who have done an ace job and bought them basically the best present anyone could wish for. And I see a lot of people ask me questions on this YouTube channel about approaches to making the dough, approaches to making those first pizzas semi-successfully. Obviously, the first time you make pizzas on these ovens, there's going to be some teething problems, there's going to be some learning processes that you have to go through, which is absolutely normal. But I think I can help these people with a few basic principles which are going to help you nail your first few pizzas much quicker than you would have done if you went blind. Now, I've made a list on my phone over the past few days because I've been reflecting on this. Okay, tip number one, or principle number one for me, is you're excited, you've got your new Ooni, you can't wait to use it. Quickly get it out of the box, rip it out of the box, let's make a pizza. There's a propensity that you might want to therefore rush a dough quickly and get anything in the oven that will work. My strong recommendation is not to rush a dough. I think it's really important that a dough gets at least 20 hours in the fridge in order to give you a pliable, easy to work with dough that's going to bring you great results. And also remember, if you don't let that dough proof and go through that chemical reaction to develop the dough properly, it's not going to be as easy to digest on your stomach either. So I think it's really important that you don't rush it. You do at least 20-hour. Direct dough is fine. That's what I do every single time, to be honest. I don't get too fancy, but yeah, don't rush it. If you are so desperate to cook something in the oven as soon as possible, how about you make that dough, leave it in the fridge, and then during that period, when you're waiting, just do lots of reading up, watching videos like mine and other people's, and understanding exactly what's going to set you up for a better cook once you get that dough out, how to prep the dough balls, things like that. So that's my first and foremost principle: don't rush your dough. I know there's recipes out there which claim to be like a quick 3-4 hour dough recipe for pizza. I personally wouldn't go there. I've tried it and it doesn't give the results that you deserve. Point two, don't be too adventurous on the dough that you're going to use. By that I mean, there's lots of different ways to make dough. There's your biggers, pre-ferments, and all these different relatively complex ways of making dough for people who have never done it before. You can basically do a direct dough, which means that you put the salt, the yeast, the flour, the water together, you put it in a bowl and mix it. You leave it for 20 minutes. You then mix it again. And then, all done by hand by the way, and then you simply leave it for 2 more hours, divide it up into dough balls, and then put it in the fridge for 20 hours. Take it out, let it come to room temperature over about 45 minutes, and it's ready to go. That's what I do every time, and that's what creates great results. I've got lots of videos on my channel that take you through that step by step. Just don't overcomplicate things. Don't get too carried away too early. Yes, of course, there's going to be opportunities, your sourdoughs, things like this. But just at the start, get the basic principles underway, get solid pizzas coming out, and then you can start getting more adventurous later on. Tip number 3, proof your dough balls in a round container. I use the Ooni stack, or bowls if I don't have access to an Ooni stack for all my bowls. What that means is that when you take your dough balls out of the container, they are round. That means that because they're round, you don't have to manipulate them too much to keep them round as they are a pizza, as they become a pizza. You simply press them out from the center and they expand. You can do a little bit of stretching, that's fine. With my recipe, you don't need too much stretching, to be totally honest. But if they come out round, they're going to give you a rounder pizza. If you have them on a flat container, all kind of slamming into each other, what's going to happen is you're going to get some deformation. Now, that deformity is fine if you've got lots of experience manipulating your dough, shaping your dough, getting it to an even depth across the entire dough, even though it started out in a different shape. Experts, pros can do that. People who are just starting out, make your life easy. Take it from a direct circular container, and trust me, you'll have a much easier time shaping that pizza to the shape that you want it. It is a little bit frustrating when you make a pizza that looks great in all ways. It's coloured right, you've cooked the toppings right, the underneath is got a great crispness and colour to it. The crusts look fantastic, but it's a strange higgledy-piggledy shape. That's frustrating. So try and avoid that if possible. Not all pizzas need to be round, that's for sure, but the rounder the better in my personal opinion. So that was my next point. Proof your dough balls in circular containers. I'll put up some images now and you'll see them come out circular onto that flour, ready for stretching. Next, don't make your pizza balls too big to start off with. I personally, after making hundreds and hundreds of pizzas on the Ooni Koda 16 and at home in the pizza stone, I make my pizzas with a 265 gram dough ball each. I think the bigger the dough ball, the more likely you are to have problems with stretching, with them becoming unwieldy as you're launching them in the pizza oven. So I simply recommend, at the start, keep your dough ball to about 250 grams per pizza, and that will make your first stretching and your first launching that little bit easier. Definitely don't go over 260, there's no need. Again, once you get the confidence, once you understand the process, you can easily move forward and start building bigger pizzas if you want and if your oven allows for it based on the size. Next key tip, absolutely critical, arguably my number one tip. Make sure when you get your dough ball out of that round container that I've just discussed, you land it in a little mound of Tipo 00 flour. It lands on it, and then you flip it over and put it on the other side. What this does, it allows that Tipo 00 flour, which is fine, to soak into any of the wet parts of the dough ball before you stretch it. You even push some flour around the edges on the lip of the pizza to make sure the lip hasn't got any wet bits either. If you see any wet bits, put flour on it. Don't worry, it might look over-floured, but that will come off in the next process. What that means is that when you have the pizza stretched and either ready to go onto the peel for launching, or maybe you build the pizza on the peel, it's not going to stick. It's going to move nicely. The biggest headache I find is when you have the pizza sticking to the peel as you're moving it backwards and forwards before you launch it. You know that's going to give you problems coming off the peel. It's going to concertina onto the pizza stone in the oven, or it's going to get stuck onto the stone in the oven, and you're going to have gunk, pizza juice, tomato, cheese all over your pizza stone. It's going to cause you some problems for the next few pizzas you're making. So again, get your dough balls dry before you start to stretch them. Next point, very much related to the previous point. Once you have that dough ball stretched, always make sure that pizza is moving as you shake it on the top of the peel absolutely easily. If there's any bits that are getting stuck, that's going to cause you a problem. If that's indeed the case, you'll have to just pry your pizza up with a blade or something and just get some Tipo 00 flour underneath. You can also use semolina flour if you want, though it tends to coagulate a bit more on the pizza oven stone and has a higher likelihood of burning, but semolina works well as well. But yes, make sure that pizza's moving on the stone before you launch it. Okay, the next one, really important. Don't get too excited about all the different toppings to put on your first few pizzas. Again, I think there's a theme here you're going to see. Keep things simple. Make a few margaritas. Don't get carried away with all your favorite toppings at the start, because the more toppings you put on a pizza, the more challenges you actually present yourself at the start. It very quickly becomes easy to do more toppings, but right at the start, less is more. For example, if toppings are too chunky, they're not going to cook at the same rate as the rest of the pizza, so they're going to be undercooked. If they're too thin, they're going to get charred before the rest of the pizza. Really important, go simple at the start. Margarita, maybe a margarita with some pepperoni on it, something like this, some salami. But you know, I see quite a lot of people really building them very high, and I think it's just going to give you a little bit unnecessary stress for the first few cooks. Okay, the next one, I'd probably prioritize this as point number 3. I should have done this really in rate of priorities. However, it is so important that you manage your temperature and your flame of your pizza oven correctly. What that means is, remember that the main thing that is cooking your pizza is the heat inside the oven, not the flame. That means you don't need a really high flame when it's on. It also means that you shouldn't have your temperature at the absolute max. People get very excited. I got very excited when I first saw it. I thought, right, I'm going to be able to create a 500 degrees Celsius environment to cook my first pizza, just like that they do in Naples, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to rise really quickly and look like a real professional pizza. While that's true, while it does rise very quickly, it's also, because these ovens are much smaller than a big wood-fired oven in Naples, for example, it means that there's a lot more intensity to that heat, and it basically means you're a lot more likely to char either the underside or the crust or the toppings of your pizza. So I keep on saying this to so many people who ask. I get my Ooni Koda 16, the stone, to around 430 degrees Celsius, which is about 809 degrees Fahrenheit, using the infrared thermometer. Then I turn, and that's with the flame on high, then I turn the flame to low. Then I launch the pizza. So I've got the temperature right, not too hot, not too cold. I've got the flame right, not too high, not too low. And then the pizza will sit for 30 seconds, start to cook, start to rise nicely. Then I'll spin it with the turning peel. Then it will cook for another 30 seconds. And then I'll check it with the turning peel again to see any parts of the pizza that look a bit anemic, don't quite have the color that I want. And then present those elements to the flame just to finish them off and then bring it out. The pizza shouldn't take more than about 1 minute 40 to cook at that temperature. So I hope that makes sense. 2 more. Next one is, remember, the pizza stone is a holder of energy, heat energy. That means that when you get your pizza stone to the right temperature, say 430 degrees Celsius or 809 degrees Fahrenheit, it is ready to cook a pizza. You put the pizza on it, it cooks it, but of course that energy is then brought out of it, so you have less heat in the stone all of a sudden. So what that means fundamentally is you need to reheat your oven for a little bit, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, put the flame back up, put it up to high, get it up to the temperature needed, and then go again. I think a lot of people think, okay, I've got the oven to a certain heat, the stone's at a certain temperature, the stone's obviously going to hold that temperature for a long time. That isn't quite true. The stone loses its temperature relatively quickly with cooking of one pizza. So give yourself some time between pizzas, 1-2 minutes at high flame to make sure that you're at the optimum cooking temperature to cook those pizzas. Last, but certainly not least, is just the fact that you need to do so much practice on this. So I think I'm now in the region of cooking 400 and 500 pizzas by now on my Ooni Koda 16, and I'm still learning so much. Every single time I improve or make mistakes. I still make mistakes. Just the other day, I was making a pizza for my sister, and it turned into an impromptu calzone. Basically what that is my code word for I messed up the launch. It got stuck on the launch. It was the last pizza of the day. I think the dough had got a little bit overproofed because it had been sat out longer than the rest of the dough balls, and it flopped over on itself and I made it into a calzone. Not my proudest moment. My sister still really enjoyed it. However, yeah, underlying message there is practice, practice, practice. Like anything, you have to take excellent actions over and over again using really good guidance, and ideally document, or at least take regular photographs of your pizzas every time you make them, so that you can reflect back and say, oh yeah, I've really made improvement here. The shape isn't quite as good as I'd like it to be still. Okay, how do I make sure that shape is coming together more in my future cooks? Study that a bit more, watch a few more videos, read up on it. But yeah, just embrace the process and enjoy it. I mean, for me, eating pizza is a fantastic experience, but more than anything else, it's the learning process and the development I see over time. It's just so satisfying. So please embrace it. And yeah, I hope you found that really useful. I am, again, by no means a pizza making professional. I've not been making pizza very long, however, I'm really enjoying it. and I think I have some tips for people who are relatively new to the game, like I am, that can make a difference. So I hope you found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. There's a lot more content coming like this, and I really appreciate the support. Please ask any questions in the comments down below, and I'm more than happy to give you some advice and thoughts if I can help. Apart from anything else, have a great start to the new year, guys, and take care.